Thank you, Mr. Chair. And let me just start with Sheriff Daniels. And Sheriff, I'm interested in knowing about how you would view a system that did not allow asylum claims. If we decide to secure the border completely and cut off asylum claims and cut off parole claims, that doesn't mean necessarily that the border is going to be secure. There's still going to be issues because the border is a long space and folks will be coming across it. The reason I bring up this reference to asylum and parole is because when Secretary Mayorkas appeared before us, he assured us that the border was secure and that the law was being enforced. But of course, he neglected to point out that literally tens of thousands of people were being allowed in under the guise of both of those perfectly legal devices. So, two questions to you. First, I was looking at your suggestions on what we needed to do to perhaps secure the border. So the first question is, which one's the most important if we're actually going to do it? And the second one, in the same vein, is can we do it? Do you think that we can actually secure the border? And if so, tell us how much money it's going to take. And I saw your list. I have no idea what the cost would be. But can we actually secure the border?
I do believe, Congressman, that we can secure the border to a manageable state. We've seen it done before. I've seen it over my almost 4 decades of law enforcement where we have a manageable border. It'll never be perfect. I've seen that. I don't ever see a perfection on the border. But what I do see is having the right programs, which starts with the President of the United States. I know it was mentioned before, different presidents, different ideologies, but the bottom line is when we have a president that, A, prioritizes all our borders, not just our southern border, and then we enforce the rule of law. We can always polish the rule of law, but we have to enforce the rule of law.
Let's stop there. Okay. And that takes me nicely to asylum and parole. Those are the laws. Are you suggesting we do away with those and say the border is now closed? We don't want anybody coming across. Is that what you're suggesting? Because I can't let you get away with that, polish the rule of law without talking about asylum and parole.
Congressman, when I say, I always put border security first and then immigration second, because we can talk immigration all day, but the border's not secure. We're going to be fighting ourselves like we are in this meeting today. So when I talk about asylum, I believe in asylum, but you got to do it legally. You got to go through a port of entry as designated by our rule of law. You can't come across our border illegally and then have no consequences. That's where I've been a cop for 38 years. I've been in the military. I support the rule of law. I'm never going to change from that. I've done that for so long. And so we got to have rules that we're going to follow, not that we make them subjective to what political ideology fits. We have to have a rule that fits. And that's why I say we have to enforce the rule of law, or we change it to make it fit current times.
Correct. And with mass migration, that's a real challenge. Mr. Dunn, I'm really, really sorry for your loss. And I had some of the staff ask you during break if there was a way of testing for fentanyl so that children such as your son could have some means where they could check to see if that which they are taking has been contaminated with fentanyl. I understand that there may be a way to do it, but it's designated as drug paraphernalia and thus not available. Tell us what the future is when it comes to trying to warn kids who are taking these kinds of things of the danger.
There are fentanyl test strips that are available. Right now they are classified as drug paraphernalia. Excuse me. And one of the things that we're working on, along with other families that we talk with in Texas, and as well as multiple of our Democratic state representatives, our current representative is a Democrat, is to have these removed from that classification. Governor Abbott has already stated that he will sign any legislation that decriminalizes fentanyl test strips. They just have to get that legislation out there so it can be enacted.
Yeah, so why would anybody object?
They won't. Everybody that we've talked to is on board with it. It's just our session in Texas doesn't meet as frequently, so they have to. We've been told it is one of the priorities, but I believe there's several different bills out there, so I think it's finally just getting everybody on board and getting it done is what we're waiting on. I think our session just convened a few weeks ago, and that is one of the top priorities from the representatives that we've spoken to.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. I yield back.
Thank you.